Hi crafters, welcome back to another segment of KISS. Keep it simple, Sylvia. This is the last Friday in the month, and so we will be winding up our segment on booklets and journals. We've been doing these since September, and I hope that through these past 2 months that you've seen that you can make booklets out of anything. Anything that you want to. It's a good way to use up any of your paper scraps. It's a good way to use up junk mail. It's just you can make them out of cardboard, just anything, any type of paper product that you want, you can make a journal out of. Cards, anything. And I hope that it's inspired you to make cute little booklets and or journals. So today what I want to do is I want to end up with an art journal. I love making my own art journals, but it does require that you do have to make some purchases. And one of the purchases that if you want to make an art journal is I like watercolor paper. I like the way ink takes on watercolor, and if I want to use it as a watercolor, I can. So I buy watercolor paper and then also Bristol. Bristol is a smooth paper. It's got a smooth surface. Watercolor can be cold pressed or hot pressed, and it has a texture on it. And then also what I like to do is I like to use manila folders when I'm making art journals because I like the way inks and paint play on manila. So I'll cut up manila folders to put into my art journals. And there's so many ways that you can bind your art journals too, but one of the simplest, easiest ways that I have found that I just adore is to recycle some old jeans. I took my husband's blue jeans and I cut the legs apart on him and I made this journal. And all I did to measure it, and I'm going to add to this journal because I'm running out of pages. This is just blue jean. This is just the leg of one of his jeans. And I cut it down on the seams. You know how you got those seams? And I let the seams be the binding on the top. And then I kept the bottom hem, and then I just cut where I wanted to cut. And all I did was I measured the size of the pages that I wanted to put in my journal. And generally I do a 6x9. I like that size. So I just measured 6x9, gave myself a flap, and then extended it so I have another flap. And then I stitched it. I left a tail, I sewed on a button, and I just close it up that way. By using a jean and by having so much of a flap here, I can continually add to this journal. So right now I only have one signature in it, and I'm going to add some more. And that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to add more signatures to this journal. And what I did with these signatures is this manila envelope. I know that my pages are going to be 6x9, so what I have to do is I'm going to cut this envelope, this manila envelope down, folder. Cut it down to 9. And sometimes you have to go back and forth on this to get it to cut through the pages. And then don't throw this away. Remember, we can always use leftovers. They make cute little tags themselves. Okay, so now I've got it cut down to the 9 height, and so I'm just going to cut it down to the 6th width. And I'm going to make sure that I keep the folded edge so I don't have to fold again. Remember, keep these. Okay, so now I've got part of a signature. And I can do this with as many manila pages as I want. And then with the Bristol, because this is a 9 by 12 inch pad, I'm just going to tear out a piece of Bristol paper. And this is fairly heavy Bristol. This is 100 pounds. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half. But before I do that, I'm going to tear out one of my watercolor sheets also. Now this one's really thick. This is 140 pounds. This is a very thick page. And in order to fold it in half, it really is helpful to score it. And it's so thick. I mean, you can see that this is very, very thick. And because it's 9 by 12, I'm just going to score it the long way on the 6. And so now I have my 6 by 9 12. I mean 6 by 9 page. See how easy that is? I love keeping things simple. And because it's so thick, I'm turning it over and I'm scoring it on both sides so I can fold it nicely. And then this is the Bristol. The Bristol has a real nice feel to it. It's 100 pounds, so it's definitely a little thinner. I like having different textures in my journals when I make them. I like having Bristol, which is smooth. I like having the cold press watercolor paper. It gives me different types of pages to play around on. So you see how easy that was to do, just folding these things up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some signatures. Now I've already got some folded up, some pages already folded up. And what I like to do is I like to keep the Bristol all together. And then this is the cold press. I like to keep the cold press all together. And then I'm going to separate them with the manila. Now they're real easy to tell the difference in the feel because the Bristol is very smooth and the cold press has got definitely a texture to it. One side is more textured than the other on cold press also. So then I'm just going to put these together. I'm going to put the manila in, and then now we just have to bind it, which means I have to get my pokey tool out and I have to get my baker's twine, because that's all I use for binding is baker's twine, so I can bind this. I've got quite a few pages here, and that's okay. I think it'll work. If not, then I'll take it down. My first signature that I have in here, I think I've got 10 pages, which gives me 20 altogether. This one I've got more than that. I've got 12. So maybe I might take them down a couple pages. But we'll see how the poking goes when I start binding these together. So let me get my poking tool and some baker's twine and I'll be right back. I've got my baker's twine and my little sewing kit, my little pokey tool, and my needles. And I'm just going to use the biggest I needle here so I can get my cording through it. And then I need clamps so I can hold this signature in place. Now on this other signature I made 7 holes. I'm not going to do that on this one. I'm only going to make 5. When you're putting your signatures together, you can alternate the holes. You can do 5, 3, 7, make them all the same number, whatever you want to do for your signature. I like to alternate them then because it does help stagger where the holes are in the fabric, or if it was paper, because if you get your holes too close together you can rip through the actual spine, and I don't want to do that. Now there's less chance of ripping through when you use like denim or a cloth, but when you're using just cardboard you can rip through it and then you've kind of ruined your spine that way. So I like to stagger my holes and I like to alternate between 5, 7, and 3. So I started out with 7 on this one, so all I'm going to do is 5 on this one. And I want to get my clamps out so I can hold everything in place. Okay, the clamps, and I'll put one down here. Okay, and I just want to check to make sure that I'm in where I want to be in. If not, then I need to adjust it and push this in closer. Now, as you start working with signatures, you can sometimes get your signatures too close together and it kind of buckles your binding. So what you want to do is you just want to check and make sure that they look like they're lining up okay. And the best way I know to check is just to find the center of each of your signatures and stand the pages up. And then when you look down at the bottom or at the top, however you want to do it, you can see if these are nicely together at the bottom. And they've got the spacing that you want. And I'm going to check the top too. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, and everything looks like it's lined up okay for me. I'm going to slide this one in so it's right at the place I want the signature to be. Okay, I think I've got everything lined up the way I want it. Okay, so then I'll start with my poking. Now, remember, we usually always start with the center, and that helps us do the spacing equally, whether we're using 3, 5, or 7. So I'll get my pokey tool out, and I'm just going to guesstimate where the center is. I'm just going to poke. Now, these pages are real thick. Okay, so I got the first hole made. I'm wiggling it around. And then the rule of thumb is to measure 3 times the length that you're going to be binding. And I always give myself some extra because I don't know how I want to finish this off yet. I don't know if I want to tie into what I've already got back there or just tie it off. So I need that option, so I actually went 4 times on this. And just poke this through the eye. This is a really cute little baker's twine here. It's got like a copper gold thread through it. I really like that. I thought it would make a cute binding when I saw it. And don't forget, you can always make your own. We had a KISS segment on that, where we used all the different kinds of twine and cotton twine and hemp and jute. Okay, so I've got this. Spread it up. Now I'm going to start on the back side and pull my pokey tool out and go through that hole. And get my pliers. Save my hands. Okay. And then pull enough through so I know that I can continue with my binding. Okay, so I'm going to do 5. So that means I need to make 2 holes up on the top and 2 holes down here on the bottom. I'm going to speed up this clip because you've seen me bind before, and I'm going to finish the second hole and then we'll go on to the rest. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm making the final top hole and then threading it back through and pulling it taut. And if you need to make any thread adjustments, you can at this point. When you make a 5-hole journal, to complete it, you need to start with the 5th hole and work your way back, as I'm showing here. I'm trying to finish up this last hole and it seems to give me a little bit of problem. So what you can do is you can actually put your pokey hole tool back through it and use it as a guide where you can put your needle in and then find the actual hole and pull it through. And now we just need to complete it by going through that center hole, and then we can tie it off or do what we want to at the back. Okay, we have our journal all bound now, so let's take a look and see what we've got. Get rid of these clips. And now we've got our cute little journal. These were my original signatures that I had in here. And then this is the section that we added. And I've got my Bristol papers here. I've got my manila folders here. And then my watercolor. And then that's how it finishes up. And you can see I've still got plenty of room that if I want to add another signature to this, I can. I have lots of flap room left. and I've got my art journal done. I think it's such a cute way to make a journal and to recycle jeans or any pair of pants for that matter, or any kind of material for that matter. You could do a shirt, blouse, anything. Cute little pattern of some sort. And then you can always decorate this. You know, you can ink it up. You can paint it. Acrylic paints work real good on this. You could stamp with acrylic paints. You could, sew flowers on it. There's all sorts of things that you could do to dress this up. So there we have it, crafters. We have our cute little art journal. One that you can just keep adding to over and over again. Get it as many signatures in it as you need. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause it and get everything together that we've done for the last couple of months, and let's do a quick little recap. I'm going to do a quick little recap of all the little booklets we made. This was week 1, and I made this out of a 12 by 12 backing that you find in those book that contain the 12 by 12 sheets of paper, and I just cut it up using my 4 by 6 rule. And then I also used a little piece of plastic so we could add some plastic to it, and then just inked them up with some distress paints, make it a fall color. Cute little booklet, just bound it with some ribbon. And then for week 2, we did a back to school booklet, but I already sent that on to my grandbabies so that they could use it. It was a real cute little back to school booklet that we made out of envelopes. And this is another recycled envelope booklet. And it's got all sorts of interactive flaps, the way we put it together. Oh, I have that upside down. How about that? Okay. And you can put tags in here. You've got things that you can open up, spots to add tags into these things here. More interactive areas, more places to put tags. Cute little booklet. And then we made a Halloween booklet out of paper bags. Just putting our paper bags together, and then added some pullouts. And I used chalkboard paint so the kids could write on this, and just using the flaps of the paper bag to create some little interactive areas. And then we made another paper bag book that I call my never-ending paper bag book, and it's just 2 paper bags that we glue together in a certain direction. This is the front. You've got the opening of the paper bag where you can put a couple tags in there. Then you flip it open, and you have this huge long page that you can work with, and then you flip it like that, and you've got more interactive. Fold it back together, turn it over, and you've got more. So it's a never-ending little booklet. And then we made some simple little booklets out of manila tags. This is just a little 3-page booklet. And then here's another one that I stapled together in a more traditional booklet order. And then this one we made out of index cards, actually index card tabbies or guides, and just stapled it together. And all I did with this was I just used stickers to embellish it, just to keep it as simple as possible. All sorts of cute little stickers. Punched holes in each one of the tabs and decorated the tabs a little bit different on each one. Such a simple little booklet to do. And then we made our own junk journal, true junk journal that we made out of recycling the junk that we get in the mail. And what I did is I gessoed up some of the pages already. And then on other ones that I didn't want to gesso up, I just took a sanding block and sanded them so I could rough up the shininess so paint would adhere, and gessoed up some more pages. And our cute little junk journal. I really like this journal. Love the colors in it. love the texture of the papers. And then all I did was just knot the binding together and then got some beads and just made a simple little closure. How simple is that? Added a few little bangles to it. And then the one that we just got done doing, our it's a little more formal one. It's our art journal where we cut up our signatures and bound them into an existing journal. Recycling jeans, but it could be anything that you could recycle. I like using jeans because they're definitely durable, but it could even be a tablecloth. Just anything that you want to use to recycle with. So there you have it, crafters. I hope you enjoyed this segment on booklets, and I'm sure that you know now that you can make booklets out of just about anything. They're just so cute to make and so easy, and you can embellish them as much as you want or as little as you want, as simple as you want, just by using simple little stickers, making them as interactive as you want, and using up supplies that you have. Gosh, I love making booklets, and I certainly enjoyed doing 2 months of it. There's more. I could make more booklets, but I think you get the idea. And we're going to move on to something else because the holidays are coming up and I want to do some holiday type decorations. So that's probably what we're going to do the next month. So I want to thank you so much for joining me on this cute little journey that we did for the past 2 months. And I look forward to seeing you again in the month of November. Thank you all for supporting me the way you do by watching my videos and the wonderful comments that you leave, and for subscribing to my YouTube channel. It just makes my heart sing, and I can't thank you enough. So I hope you join me back here again in November, and we'll start making some cute little Christmas decorations or holiday decorations. Bye for now. Thank you.